Hi, my name is Sheri and I wanted to talk to you today about some important things as it relates to keeping our environment, the salon, as clean as possible. In fact, there's 3 different types of cleaning that you can do in the salon. We typically call things sanitation, but sanitation is really a synonym for cleaning. It's about the same thing. If you think about your sanitation department in your local city, they are helping to remove items from the area, in other words, our garbage, from our homes or residents or businesses, etc. So I wanted to introduce you to the 3 terms that are the most important as it relates to making sure that the environment in our salons is kept as best as possible. So let's get into some basic terminology. Cleaning. Cleaning is the removal of dirt or substances, debris, that will prevent the growth of microbes. So we know that in a dirty environment, excess stuff can grow. We want to keep the environment as clean as possible. So cleaning is simply the removal of dirt or debris. The second term is disinfection. And disinfection is actually destroying or killing the microbes that are on non-porous surfaces so they can't cause infection. Now when we think about cleaning our salon, oftentimes we'll have a guest come in, we'll do their haircut, their hair color, and we'll certainly sweep, get rid of any towel that we've used before, wipe off our shears, hopefully put a comb into something like Quartz or Barbicide in particular. We do some things. But I want you to think about the responsibility that we have as hairstylists, one of the very minimal positions that can actually, service positions that can touch another human being while the service is being performed, and the responsibility of protecting ourselves as well as our guests from any illness or transference of any sort of virus or bacteria. And that means that we have to be a little bit more serious about it. And I was thinking a little bit about, I've had a few surgeries in my life, and I was thinking about what it's like when I go into that operating room. I mean, I can smell how clean, I can smell the disinfectant. I know that the tools that are being used on me are actually sterilized. Now, I know that we're not necessarily cutting into any humans or otherwise during these processes that we're doing, but in some cases, if we think of facialists or our barbers who are touching implements to the skin, there is the need to sterilize some of those equipment. But otherwise, disinfection is a really high form of cleaning that we need to keep in mind. We're going to go through the steps in just a moment. So first, let's take a look at cleaning guidelines. And I'm actually going to read from an incredible resource that will provide the link down below so that you too can go and reference this. But the cleaning guidelines, they're very simple, and some of them you already know. So washing your hands. So obviously washing your hands with warm water and soap before beginning any service, and again after. I think that in these times we've really learned that hand washing is the most important thing that we can do, next to not touching your face. Wear clean, fresh laundered clothes. I'm sure you all do that. Avoid touching your face, mouth, or eyes while performing any services, or just at any time. I'm going to be honest, I have a really hard time with that one. I do it so often without even thinking, but it's a good habit for me to start to learn how to break. Never place tools, combs, rollers, or bobby pins in your mouth or pockets. Dispense all semi-fluids and powders with a shaker, pump, spray type container, spatula. Basically, dispense of anything that needs to be dispensed of. Launder all client gowns and headbands properly before reusing. Use a newer laundered cape on each client. So, and never allow the protective cape to touch the client's neck. So how many of you remember going to beauty school or first learning how to cut hair, and we had that paper that went around the neck, and then we would put the cape on top of that, and we would reuse capes. I mean, I know that even myself, I don't do a lot of clients still, but when I do them, I've been, doing a quick haircut, putting the cape back into my locker, because I don't have an actual office, but I do have a locker. And even though they're people that I know, I have thought to myself, okay, this is a practice I must stop. And I think that, in a busy salon, we don't necessarily have a new cape for every client, but I think it's really important that we have a new clean cape for every client, and we reinvest in paper that goes around the neck to make sure that it's not touching the client's neck. Clean and remove hair and debris from tools before disinfecting. We're going to get to disinfecting in a minute. Cleaning is the first step in preventing infection. Disinfecting is the second step. Sweep or vacuum all hair clippings. Everyone does this, I know that. That's manicure specifically. Clean shampoo bowls before and after each use with the appropriate cleaning solution. Empty waste receptacles daily. Again, something that I'm sure you all do. Disposable drinking cups. Let's see. The rest, I think, are things. Never use restroom area for storage of chemicals. Never allow pets or animals in service area except animals as identified in the Americans with Disabilities Act. Never use the salon for cooking or living quarters. And keep salon free from insects and rodents. I bet you're already doing that. So then we move on to the second step in preventing infection, and that's disinfection. Now, disinfection, this second level of infection control, is really standards. The standards, as I mentioned, are products that kill or destroy these microbes on non-porous surfaces. So think combs, think scissors, think even the chairs that our clients sit on. And I'm going to get gross for you in just a second here. So we've got a client. She doesn't know, she or he don't know that they're sick. Maybe they're not showing symptoms yet, but they're still contagious. Cold, common flu, whatever it may be. They sneeze. We want everyone to sneeze into their elbow. I'd like to think that they do. I'm not sure that they do. And somehow it gets on their hands. They sit down in your chair, and the first thing they do is they touch the handles of the chair. While they're waiting, while they are sitting down, while they're waiting to get the cape put on. Then they're touching the cape, and they're touching the magazines, they're touching all sorts of things. And, I started to go down this path, and then I stopped myself because I decided it wasn't actually a good path to go down. But what I did think to myself is that before and after every client, I would take the opportunity to wipe the chair down and to make sure that I was using some sort of a solution. Barbicide in a spray bottle is a good one, or they have the Barbicide wipes, to wipe down the area that my previous client touched and that my next client is going to touch. Here's an example of a disinfection process for a comb. So first thing that you do is you would remove all of the hair and debris from the comb. You would wash it thoroughly with soap and warm water. Again, doing sort of like the ABCs, or singing Happy Birthday twice, or whatever sort of fun song that you used to sing in order to create that length of time for washing something. You would pat it completely dry before submerging it in the disinfectant solution. Why? Because if you put it in there with any sort of wet on it, it will dilute the disinfectant solution, and that's exactly what we don't want to do. Now, the time to disinfect is going to be determined by your manufacturer. So make sure you're reading the manufacturer's instructions to ensure that you know how long you should be keeping your combs or any other tools in the disinfectant. And remember that Barbicide does have an online certification that you can go and take, and that might help to solidify some of that information in your mind on how best we keep everything nice and disinfected in the salon. The last step, which is not always needed as it relates to making sure that the environment of the salon is safe, is sterilization. And sterilization comes into play whenever you have implements that are actually puncturing the skin or have the potential to have blood or previous blood on them. So think about getting a facial. I know that sometimes I get a facial and I have a blemish that my facialist needs to help me with, and they have implement, a tool that helps them to clean up or clear up my skin. Usually these items are disposable or one-use items, so they'd be used on one client and then it'd be disposed in a specific container for that type of implement. Sometimes, however, we have implements that are used on multiple clients that need sterilization. Now, sterilization is when you have a much more aggressive, if you will, process by which you actually kill completely any potential microbes that could be on a surface. And usually it includes something called an autoclave. And that is a box whereby the implements are put inside for a certain period of time at a high temperature, which kills all of the microbes or bacteria. Now again, this is not necessary for most of the implements that we use on a regular basis when we're standing behind the chair and doing hair, but just make sure that if there's anyone in your salon that's using something, a facialist, a barber, anyone of that nature that might be puncturing the skin to perform the service, that's where you need to take the sterilization methods. So now that we've all gone through this time where cleaning and disinfecting are of the utmost importance to keep ourselves, our families, and our clients healthy and safe, when we open our doors back up, our clients more than ever are going to want to see that we're taking precautions to keep them safe moving forward. And I know that you know that this is super important because you love your clients and you want to make sure that they not only feel and look beautiful, but they also feel safe in your salon. So please utilize the resources that we've provided you for more information. As I've mentioned before in other areas when I've talked about sterilization and disinfecting, I'm not the expert, but I can definitely point you into areas of resources where there are experts.